Michael Bociurkiw is a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, joining me now live from Lviv, Ukraine. Michael, really good to have you with us. And look, the headlines, the civilian casualties, the senseless acts that we've been seeing in Ukraine are getting more hair-raising by the day. I want you to give me a sense of where we stand right now. And I know we had a conversation early last week. Things seem to be escalating and getting worse in some cases.
Yeah, I don't think it gets much worse than this. If you look at the political front, the humanitarian front, we are facing, basically, we're watching in real time the destruction of a nation, of a democratic nation that is supposed to be a friend and ally of the United States and other Western nations. And yet, the feeling here, I can tell you by talking to so many Ukrainians, especially young ones, is where is the West? What are they doing? And, you know, I think we're also seeing that these biting sanctions, and good for the West, and, you know, a splintered Europe for getting their act together and putting these sanctions onto Russia. But it doesn't look like it's stopping this aggression, this senseless bombing and missiles aimed at populated centers. So to make a quick point here, I think the only leverage the West has left is to put more pressure on China, to put pressure on Russia to stop the senseless bombing. Because remember, before all of this violence started, China and Ukraine were actually very close economic partners, and China has a lot of interest here. And remember when that so-called coup happened in Kazakhstan, China was able to hold Russia back. Perhaps they could do the same thing here, because too many lives are being lost. Children, women, hospitals, schools, you name it. Nothing is off the table for the Russians.
Yeah, Michael, and we're going to get to China in just a moment because it's such an important point that you make.
Sure.
But in my mind, and a lot of people watching this are saying, if Russia's military, if Putin is willing to target the most vulnerable parts of the community, in other words, pregnant women and newborn babies, that is a scary thought in terms of what the next step will be. This is at a time where he's starting to flirt with NATO's borders. What should we be reading into when we're seeing these kinds of moves?
Well, you know, as I wrote in my CNN opinion piece, is that should have been a red line, the bombing of that hospital. What more has to happen for Western leaders to wake up, to realize that their NATO allies, Poland, the Baltic countries, could be next. That was well presented earlier about, you know, the bombing of that training center near the border with Poland. Those shockwaves from that bomb were actually felt inside Poland as well. And I have been arguing for quite some time that Mr. Putin, if he sees any bit of success in Ukraine, he will not stop at Ukraine's borders. He will go further. So we're at a very dangerous point right now in this entire war.
Okay. Michael, is this just flirting with NATO's borders, testing, provoking, trying to see what the West's move will be? This after last week, by the way, President Biden was saying one move, one step into NATO territory, and we will be there. Is he testing to see how far he can push the West?
Yes, absolutely. That's the Russian playbook. You stick it in as much as possible, probe for soft tissue, and then go further. And he's saying he's getting away with it. And, you know, incredibly, they're somehow sucking up these sanctions and, you know, being able to go about their daily business. Of course, it's more difficult. But I had argued quite some time ago that these sanctions would not deter Mr. Putin, given his track record elsewhere on the globe. So the West has to be prepared for further aggression in neighboring states, I would say.
You know, when we look at Russia and China's relationship, and one of the fears that I've been, you know, sort of exploring is just the rise of the, you know, the Eastern powers, Southeast as well, where emerging markets, let's be realistic here, have been trying to circumvent the use of the US dollar, create their own payment systems, create their own developmental agencies. The US is now saying, we're warning China of trying to hand a lifeline to Russia. Is this going to be a big concern? Because you've just said that the US has, the only leverage it has is to try and convince China to try and de-escalate.
Yeah, and of course there's also, some leverage as well with the Gulf states. You remember the Biden administration put pressure on Qatar to perhaps ship more LNG this way. But look, for China, Xi Jinping has been watching this very closely from the start because, of course, it is a big test for when China, and they will move when China moves on Taiwan. So he's looking at how far Mr. Putin can get. But at the same time, I think in the Chinese Communist Party, and I've covered and lived in Asia, there's some sense of pragmatism there. I think a lot of the retired generals are pushing on Mr. Xi Jinping to temper his approach in terms of expansionism, but also in terms of Russia policy as well. China is after energy security, also for the ability to up its game in terms of semiconductor chips, that sort of thing. It needs countries to mine these resources. It needs countries like Ukraine to feed an expanding population in China. So many different aspects here that can be used as leverage, I think.
Yeah. Let's talk about what happened in Western Lviv. It's where you are at the moment. So I want to get a sense of how you're feeling in terms of safety, and also the fact that Lviv is bursting at the seams in terms of refugees. The city has said, we can't accept more. We're just not doing well. Given we've seen what Russia has been up to in terms of the cities that it's targeting, are you afraid of some kind of threat coming your way?
Well, I guess I'm in a bit of a different category. I've worked in some of the most dangerous places on the planet for UNICEF and other organizations, so my tolerance level might be a bit higher than most folks. But I can tell you that, since the last time we spoke, which wasn't that long ago, the character of the city has changed a lot more buildings boarded up, a lot more security. In fact, in the courtyard below me, it basically transformed in a few hours to a kind of military command center. So it's becoming much, much more militarized. And yes, there has been a crush of people coming from other parts of Ukraine. In fact, some of the people, actually a lot of the people coming are what we call well-resourced. They do have, savings and things like that. And here's a bit of color for you. I talked to a parking guy today for the city of Lviv, and he said, we're ticketing a lot of cars, and most of them are from Kyiv and elsewhere, because people have just left them on the street and then gone to other countries. So, but I think those numbers are thinning out a bit because people are hearing their air raid sirens more. We had one at 2 a.m., another one at around 7. So the sense of insecurity is getting much, much more palpable here.
Yeah. Well, Michael, thank you very much for catching up with us again. And I hope that the next time we speak, in other words, in a few days' time, you'll have better news for me. And please stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope so too.
Michael
Bociurkiw
there.